to Virgo Potens. I invite you to give this video a like and to subscribe to my channel. YouTube has introduced a great feature called Super Thanks. If you enjoy this video, you can support my work or say thank you by clicking on the Super Thanks icon. It's similar to offering support through a super chat. In powerful messages from heaven, Jesus tells Saint Bridget of Sweden about how a good knight is greeted and rewarded in heaven. More starkly, Jesus tells Saint Bridget of the eternal nature of his justice. This Virgo Potens production includes Book 2, chapters 11 through 12 from Prophecies and Revelations by Saint Bridget of Sweden. Christ's delightful words to the bride about the glory and honor of the good and true knight, and about how the angels come to meet him, and about how the glorious Trinity welcomes him affectionately, and takes him to a place of indescribable rest as a reward for but a little struggle. Chapter 11. I told you before about the end and punishment of that knight who was the first to desert from the knightly service he had promised me. I will now describe for you, by way of metaphors, for otherwise you are unable to understand spiritual things, the glory and honor of him who first manfully took up the true knightly service and manfully kept it to the end. When this friend of mine came to the end of his life, and his soul left his body, 5 legions of angels were sent to greet him. Along with them, there also came a multitude of demons, in order to find out if they could lay claim on him. For they are full of malice, and never rest from malice. A bright, clear voice was then heard in heaven, saying, "My Lord and Father, is not this the man who bound himself to your will and carried it out to perfection?" The man himself then answered in his own conscience, "Indeed I am." 3 voices were then heard. The first was that of the divine nature, which said, "Did I not create you and give you a body and soul? You are my son, and you have done your Father's will. Come to me, your almighty Creator and dear Father. An eternal inheritance is owed to you, for you are a son. Your Father's inheritance is owed to you, for you have been obedient to him. So, dear son, come to me then. I will welcome you with joy and honor." The second voice was that of the human nature, which said, "Brother, come to your brother. I offered myself for you in battle, and shed my blood for you. You who obeyed my will, come to me. You who paid blood for blood, and were prepared to offer death for death, and life for life, come to me. You who imitated me in your life, enter now into my life, and into my never-ending joy. I recognize you as my true brother." The third voice was that of the Spirit, but the 3 are one God, not 3 gods, that said, "Come, my knight, you whose interior life was so attractive that I longed to dwell with you. In your exterior conduct you were so manly that you deserved my protection. Enter then into rest in return for all your physical troubles. In return for your mental suffering, enter into a consolation beyond description. In return for your charity and your manly struggles, come into me, and I will dwell in you, and you in me. Come to me then, my excellent knight, who never yearned for anything but me. Come, and you will be filled with holy pleasure." Afterward, 5 voices were heard from each of the 5 legions of angels. The first one spoke, saying, "Let us march ahead of this excellent knight, and carry his weapons ahead of him. That is, let us present to our God the faith he preserved unshaken and defended from the enemies of justice. The second voice said, "Let us carry his shield ahead of him. That is, let us show our God that patience of his which, although it is already known to God, will be even more glorious because of our testimony. By his patience he not only bore adversities patiently, but also thanked God for those same adversities." The third voice said, "Let us march ahead of him and present his sword to God. That is, let us show him the obedience by which he remained obedient in both difficult and easy times, in accordance with his pledge." The fourth voice said, "Come and let us show our God his horse. That is, let us offer the testimony of his humility. As a horse carries the body of a man, so his humility both preceded and followed him, carrying him forth to the performance of every good work. Pride found nothing of its own in him, which is why he rode in safety." The fifth voice said, "Come and let us present his helmet to our God. That is, let us bear witness to the divine yearning he felt for God. He meditated on him in his heart at all times. He had him on his lips, in his works, and yearned for him above all things. Out of his love and veneration, he caused himself to die to the world. So, let us present these things to our God, for, in return for a little struggle, this man has deserved eternal rest and joy with his God, for whom he yearned so much and so often." Accompanied by the sounds of these voices and a wonderful choir of angels, my friend was carried to eternal rest. His soul saw it all and said to itself in exultation, "Happy am I to have been created. Happy am I to have served my God, whom I now behold. Happy am I, for I have joy and glory that will never end." In such a way did my friend come to me and receive such a reward. Although not everyone sheds his blood for the sake of my name, nevertheless, everyone will receive the same reward, provided they have the intention of giving their lives for me if the occasion presents itself, and the needs of the faith demand it. See how important a good intention is. Christ's words to the bride about the unchanging nature and eternal duration of his justice, and about how, after taking a human nature, he revealed his justice through his love in a new light, and about how he tenderly exercises mercy toward the damned, and gently teaches his knights mercy. Chapter 12. I am the true king. No one deserves to be called king except me, because all honor and power come from me. I am he who rendered judgment upon the first angel to fall through pride, greed, and envy. I am he who rendered judgment upon Adam and Cain, as well as upon the whole world, by sending it the flood due to the sins of the human race. I am the same one who allowed the people of Israel to come into captivity and miraculously led it out with miraculous signs. All justice is to be found in me. Justice always was and is in me, without beginning or end. It does not at any time grow less in me, but remains in me, true and unchangeable. Although at the present time my justice seems to be somewhat gentler, and God seems to be a more patient judge now, this represents no change in my justice, which never changes, but only shows my love the more. I now judge the world by that same justice and that same true judgment as when I permitted my people to become slaves in Egypt and made them suffer in the desert. My love was hidden prior to my incarnation. I kept it hidden in my justice, like light obscured by a cloud. Once I had taken a human nature, although the law that had been given was changed. Justice itself was not changed, but was all the more clearly visible, and was shown in a more abundant light in love through God's Son. This happened in 3 ways. First, the law was mitigated, since it had been severe because of disobedient and hardened sinners, and it was difficult in order to tame the proud. Second, the Son of God suffered and died. Third, my judgment now appears to be farther away, and both seems to be postponed out of mercy, and to be gentler towards sinners than before. Indeed, the acts of justice concerning the first parents, or the flood, or those who died in the desert seem rigid and strict. But the same justice is still with me, and ever has been. However, mercy and love are now more apparent. Earlier, for wise reasons, love was hidden in justice and displayed with mercy, albeit in a more hidden manner, because I never carried out and never do carry out justice without mercy, or kindness without justice. Now, however, you might ask, if I show mercy in all my justice, in what way am I merciful toward the damned? I will answer you by way of a parable. It is as if a judge were seated in judgment, and his brother came along to be sentenced. The judge says to him, "You are my brother, and I am your judge, and although I sincerely love you, I cannot, nor is it right for me, to counteract justice. In your conscience, you see what it is with respect to what you deserve. It is necessary to sentence you accordingly. If it were possible to go against justice, I would willingly take your sentence upon myself. I am like that judge. This person is my brother because of my human nature. When he comes to be judged by me, his conscience informs him of his guilt, and he understands what his sentence should be. Since I am just, I reply to the soul, figuratively speaking, and tell it, "You see all that is just for you in your conscience. Tell me what you deserve." The soul answers me then, "My conscience informs me of my sentence. It is the punishment due to me, because I did not obey you." I answer, "I, your judge, took on myself all your punishment and made your danger known to you, as well as the way to escape punishment. It was simple justice that you could not enter heaven before atoning for your guilt. I took on your atonement because you were incapable of bearing it yourself. Through the prophets I showed you what would happen to me, and I did not omit a single detail of what the prophets foretold. I showed you all the love I could in order to make you turn to me. However, since you have turned away from me, you deserve to be sentenced, because you scorned mercy. However, I am still so merciful that, if it were possible for me to die again, for your sake I would again endure the same torment I once endured on the cross, rather than see you sentenced to such a sentence. Justice, however, says that it is impossible for me to die again, even if mercy tells me to want to die for your sake again, if it were possible. This is how I am merciful and loving, even toward the damned. I loved mankind from the start, even when I seemed to be angry, but nobody cared about or paid any attention to my love. Because I am just and merciful, I warn the so-called knights that they should seek my mercy, lest my justice find them. My justice is as immovable as a mountain. It burns like fire. It is as frightening as thunder, and as sudden as a bow fitted with an arrow. My warning is threefold. First, I warn them as a father does his children, in order to make them turn back to me, because I am their Father and Creator. Let them return, and I will give them the patrimony due to them by right. Let them return, because, although I have been spurned, I will still welcome them with joy, and go out to meet them with love. Second, I ask them like a brother to recall my wounds and my deeds. Let them return, and I will receive them like a brother. Third, as their Lord, I ask them to return to the Lord, to whom they pledged their faith, to whom they owe their allegiance, and to whom they have sworn themselves by oath. Wherefore, O knights, turn back to me, your Father, who brought you up with love. Think on me, your brother, who became as one of you for your sakes. Turn back to me, your kind Lord. It is highly dishonest to pledge your faith and allegiance to another Lord. You pledged me that you would defend my church and help the needy. See how you pledge allegiance to my enemy, and throw away my banner and hoist the banner of my enemy. Wherefore, O knights, come back to me in true humility, since you deserted me through pride. If anything seems hard to suffer for me, consider what I did for you. For your sakes, I went to the cross with my feet bleeding. My hands and feet were pierced for you. I spared not a single limb of mine for you. And yet you ignore all this by running away from me. Come back, and I will give you three kinds of help. First, fortitude, so as to be able to withstand your physical and spiritual enemies. Second, a brave generosity, so that you may fear nothing but me, and may deem it a joy to exert yourselves for my sake. Third, I shall give you wisdom to make you understand the true faith and the will of God. Therefore, come back and take your stand like men. For I, who am giving you this warning, am the same one whom the angels serve, the one who freed those forefathers of yours who were obedient, but sentenced the disobedient and humbled the proud. I was first in war, first in suffering. Follow me then, so that you will not be melted like wax by fire. Why are you breaking your promise? Why do you scorn your oath? Am I of less value or more unworthy than some worldly friend of yours, to whom once you pledged your faith, you kept it? To me, however, the giver of life and honor, the preserver of health, you do not render what you have promised. For this reason, good knights, fulfill your promise, and if you are too weak to do so in deeds, at least have the will to do so. I feel pity due to the slavery the devil has imposed on you, and so I will accept your intention as a deed. If you come back to me in love, then exert yourselves in the faith of my church, and I will come out to meet you like a kind father, together with all my army. I will give you 5 good things as a reward. First, never-ending praise will always sound in your ears. Second, the face and glory of God will always be before your eyes. Third, the praise of God will never leave your lips. Fourth, you will have everything your soul can desire, and you will desire nothing more than you have. Fifth, you will never be separated from your God, but your joy will endure without end, and you will live your life in joy without end. Such will be your reward, my knights, if you defend my faith and exert yourselves more for the sake of my honor than for your own. If you have any sense, remember that I have been patient with you, and that you have insulted me in a way you yourselves would never tolerate. However, although I can do all things by reason of my omnipotence, and although my justice cries out to be revenged upon you, still my mercy, which is in my wisdom and goodness, spares you. Therefore, ask for mercy. In my love, I grant that which a person asks me for in humility. Welcome to the Virgo Potens YouTube channel. If you enjoy this video, give it a like. I also invite you to subscribe to this channel so that you won't miss new content. Please prayerfully consider supporting my work by becoming a patron of Virgo Potens on Patreon and/or by buying one of my books. My ebooks are available on Amazon as well as on the Apple Bookstore. For those who prefer a physical copy rather than an ebook, my book, Spiritual Warfare, Know Thy Enemy, is also available as a paperback on Amazon. If you are interested in making a one-time contribution, I suggest that you do so by simply buying one of my books. I am thankful for your support. Links to Patreon and to my books will be posted in the comments section of this video. The continuation of this work isn't possible without you. Lastly, and most importantly, please pray for me. May the Virgin Most Powerful guide and protect you.